narcissist in the world. And of course, this isn't gender specific, but it is primarily related to men or young men. And it's primarily, related to a lot of things about how we raise our children, and how we raise our young men in particular, and how we initiate our young men into the world and bring them into the world. And other than just, throw them into the world.
Yeah. Modern culture is raising generations that feel unseen, unsupported, and emotionally unanchored. This is where the rise in narcissism begins. So a couple of things are coming to mind with what you're saying that I actually hadn't 100% thought about until just now. Because narcissism is kind of becoming this big buzzword. I think it's overused at times. I think it's inappropriately used. And I also want to honor that there's a spectrum of narcissistic behavior. And I think when we want to label someone that, we should be very cautious. And that my intention here today too is to pull out the threads of what are the behaviors that are leading into this narcissist, or high on the spectrum, that we want to bring awareness to. Mm-hmm. And what's coming to me is that perhaps this bust in narcissism is also as a result of, if it's back to childhood, of course it is, women started to work, the dynamic of masculine feminine started to change, which we're going to talk about in part 3 of this. And the intensity of which your parents, my parents, other, older generations' parents, of how they had to participate in the household to even have the mental space, to have the physical space, to have the emotional space to raise children, because no one teaches us how to raise children. It's a free-for-all, I mean, we basically use our own toolbox that we got from our own childhood, and sometimes that toolbox is really lacking. So your parents may have done the best that they could at the time with the information that they had. So that's one. But two is, it may also have been at a time where women were, and I maybe not for your mom, but it might be, but I think even moving forward, that there's more and more women who aren't in the household, or the man is not in the household caring for the children. They're busy working. And I'm wondering how that thread is also impacting our children, has impacted our children generations prior. That, you know what I'm saying? Like to just exactly. Not be there and have that.
I know exactly what you're saying. Relevant to my particular situation, Beth. But my mom was a real forerunner in going to work, because in the 60s, she had her own clothing line, and she was very absent, and there was somebody in the home, taking care of the children. And,
right.
And so there was, quite a bit of that. I mean, in the dynamic, in the proliferation of women working in the workplace, so to speak, and just to survive these days. I mean, my goodness, I can't even imagine. And two parents working, or even the proliferation of single parent homes,
yes,
primarily in our minority communities. And what happens very clearly is, if you come home, what time do you really even have to give your attention to your children? Yeah. And how do you want to spend your time with that? So the dynamic did, to your point, start to change.
Yeah.
And that was in the 60s. And, and that's just increased more than ever in our culture, with women coming back more into work, having to come more into work, and the whole dynamic of raising children and what that means. Hence, a proliferation of this, what we call narcissism, narcissist in the world. And of course, this isn't gender specific, but it is primarily related to men or young men, and it's primarily related to a lot of things about how we raise our children, and how we raise our young men in particular, and how we initiate our young men into the world and bring them into the world, and other than just throw them into the world.
Yeah.
It's and this has been quite a journey. And if we think about it, it's been, not really much more than the last 50 years that this has really taken place. Now, of course, there's other cultures that are not necessarily orientated this way, but they have their own issues. Eastern cultures have their own issues. More Latin cultures have different issues and more, different kinds of things. So this is not necessarily applicable across various different cultures, but it's a reality of the workplace. It's a reality of how men and women how they play their roles in the world. So we become, let's just say, subject to all of this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you probably found a little bit yourself.
Yeah, a few more things that. If this episode brought clarity or resonance, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs this message today. Your engagement amplifies the light and helps this work reach the hearts that are ready to awaken. Subscribe to follow the full 3-part series on the empath narcissist entanglement and to receive access to all upcoming wisdom sessions and insights. Let's heal our hearts, reclaim our power, and rise to the next level of humanity together in sovereignty.